fellas, what's going on? It's Preacher, and we're looking at the Demo Warlock. Yes, we are. A lot of people have been asking for this one. Why? It's the most played spec by the Warlocks at the moment. Okay, still looks to be pretty solid in 6.2, despite the hysteria surrounding the changes that are coming, and generally it's pretty fantastic in a multitude of situations, so people want to know about it. Now, I will pre-warn you, this is a long one. Okay, this is a long one. There is so much going on here that I have to spend some time explaining it to you so you can make the decisions. We obviously don't do guides here, which are press this and you will win, like a kind of a written guide or anything like that. I want you to understand how your spells work, and then it doesn't matter what the game presents to you, you will kick ass and take some names. So it's going to be a little bit longer with this one, as it is one of the most dynamic specs in the game. It really is. Not only do most of your spells do something else when you go into meta, if you look at my bar here and I go into meta, they all change. But not only that, but the idea of what you should press and when changes all the time. And that's where the dynamic aspect of it comes from. One thing I want to point out here, and I will point out regular on Warlock videos, is please, for the love of Christ, I beg of you all, learn what your demon's special ability is. Because there are so many Warlocks who don't know what their pets can do. And it's really sad. Okay, they only seem to pick it up when they go into PvP. But PvE has added a lot of stuff into the game. And when it picks you, if you're doing random groups and stuff like that, the game knows that you can do these things. Okay, so if it needs to be able to be purged, spell-locked, interrupted, Warlocks can do all those things because their pets do them. So you can see with my Doom Guard, I gain Shadow Lock, which is an interrupt. Okay? It's an interrupt ability. It's very, very powerful. Learn to use it, guys. Really learn to use it and learn what your pets do, because it will make you such a better player when you can go, oh, I can deal with this. Instead of being, can anybody purge? And it's dead silence from the Warlock. It's like, no, I don't know. So don't be that guy. Be that guy who's like, yeah, fucking right, I can do this. It's pretty awesome. So what is Demo Warlock all about? Let's get into this. Meta. It's about being a demon. It's about being a demon. Oh, yes. We wish it was larger. Doomguard's bigger than me, but whatever. It's about being a big badass demon. While we're in demon form, we do a shitload of more damage. It's pretty fucking cool. Pretty cool. So what's the general crux of it? As always, we say, what is the thing to think about whenever you're making a decision? We want to be in meta form as long as possible. To do that, we need a resource called Demonic Fury. It's this thing here. So if all we need to do is consider one thing. How do I get more Demonic Fury? So I can spend longer in demon form doing more damage. Really that easy. And now, with the added ability to pop in and out of it, compared to its old state of being a big cooldown, we're going to be jumping in and out of demon form pretty regularly. So you need to be making a lot of decisions. We get Shadow Bolt, Soulfire, and Wild Imps. So you can see I've got a buff on myself. So a lot of people aren't sure how Wild Imps works. You gain a buff, which will give you guarantee that your next Shadow Bolt, Soulfire, or Touch of Chaos will summon a Wild Imp, but also from your Doom critical strikes. Okay? Doom critical strikes give you that. So you generate more Wild Imps. Now, Wild Imps don't do a great deal, but they do something. Not as good as they used to be, unfortunately. They used to be way better, but sadly, not so much anymore. We also gain Hand of Gul'dan, which is sadly missing from this screen for any new players. Excuse me. Hand of Gul'dan. People always get confused with Hand of Gul'dan, thinking it's some tricky thing. Why? Because when you're a Meta, it turns into Chaos Wave. And Chaos Wave looks on the face of it like it hits like a goddamn truck. And then you might check some other Warlock and realize, holy crap, most of that guy's damage came from Chaos Wave. There's a lot of interactions with Hand of Gul'dan and Chaos Wave you need to know about. We'll get into that. And also, it's an extremely cool spell. A very, very cool spell. So let's look at our talents and then we'll go through how you play it. At level 15... you pick some sort of survivability. Soul Leech is the general go-to here. We're not really going to be doing Harvest Life or anything like that. So Soul Leech is the general go-to. Level 30, some CC. You can CC things in plenty of raids. So learn to use things like Shadow Fury and find opportunities to do them. I've seen so many Warlocks who could easily do some big AoE stuns and really help out the whole group. Don't do it. Don't be that guy. At level 45, survivability. All three of these are really good. But they come with certain caveats. Soul Link is the general one. Most situations. Soul Link, okay? It's a passive. You don't have to do anything with it. 20% of all damage taken is split with you and your demon. Now, read that as not a 20% damage reduction. It's 20% damage is split. Okay? Split. And 3% of the damage you deal heals you and your demon. So, you're constantly healing yourself as well with Soul Link. But only for 3% of the damage. Now, your damage gets really good, which means Soul Link gets really good as well. So, bear in mind how that works. Sacrificial Pact is my favourite. I love on-demand survivability cooldowns, but it sacrifices 20% of your demon's current health to shield you for 400% of that sacrificed health. Your demons have different amounts of health. You can see a Doomguard has 136,000 health, okay? So we're going to get like 100k shield out of that. If I switch over to a Wrathguard, he has 200,000, nearly double. So when I use the shield with him, I get nearly a 200k shield. So Sacrificial Pact depends on your pet a lot of the time, okay? Because it works very, very, very differently. Very differently. Dark Bargain allows you to cheese mechanics, okay? Prevents all damage, invulnerability. But when the effect ends, you get a dot on you, damage over time. 50% of that damage you prevented will tick on you for 8 seconds. That's a short time period for a dot, by the way. That's a lot of damage. But it does allow you to cheese certain mechanics. Certainly used heavily on Kara Mythic for the Warlocks to survive inside that shield because they took no damage and then they could sort of nicely deal with it afterwards with the healers. So bear in mind how all these three things work because they're all good. At level 60, it's hard to say you're not going to take Burning Rush because you're so fast. 50% movement speed is crazy. And the health deficit ain't that bad. It really isn't. It's like a rejuve. It's fuck all. And you move so fast that the likelihood is you don't need it on for very long. I mean, if you're looking like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... In 5 seconds, look how far I've ran, right? Look how far I've ran. And how often do you need to run that far in a raid before you start using things like fucking teleports and demonic circles? Not very far at all, right? Not very far at all. So, yeah, it's very, very cool. Level 75. Now, level 75 is where your entire playstyle shifts, and I haven't got to the playstyle yet, so let me explain them to you, and then we can talk about the playstyle later. So you have Glyph of Supremacy, which makes your pets do 20% more damage and look way cooler. Is the weaker of the three, unfortunately, especially if you get to around 650, 656, you know, that kind of gear level. You're not really going to do that, which is a real crying shame because the old Doomguard model does look a bit dated now. So, yeah, you tend not to get that. Grammar of Service, though, very cool. Very, very cool. So you summon a second demon, which fights for you for 25 seconds. Now, this synergizes quite well with Demonic Servitude. Now, I know I'm skipping ahead here, but bear in mind. So, Demonic Servitude gives you the ability to have a Doomguard permanently. Usually a 10-minute cooldown, but you get him to rock around all the time. If you have Grimoire of Service, although it's not listed there, because you have a talent that gives you full access to a Doomguard, you do get Grimoire Doomguard, which means, you have no target. Go ahead. We get 2 of the bad boys. Look at these guys. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's so cool. It's so cool, especially when you've got multiple Warlocks all popping it at the same time. Now, because of this synergy, that you can have double Doomguards with both hit very, very fucking hard, it's generally decided that you take Grammar of Service if you're taking Demonic Servitude. For the reasons I just explained, is that you can have these 2 Doomguards, which is very cool. Grammar of Synergy is probably the go-to in every other scenario, okay? There's so much going on in, especially Blackrock Foundry, Mythic, and Heroic upwards, that it tends to be up quite a lot. So it's when you or your demon deal damage, there's a chance to trigger Demonic Synergy, granting the other one 15% increased damage. So that works on you and your pet and backwards and forwards. And if you are taking that, it generally means you're AoEing. Okay? It generally means that you're AoEing, which means you want a Wrathguard and not a Doomguard, which means you won't have Demonic Servitude, you will have Cataclysm. Okay, so this is a synergy here. If you're going to use Demonic Servitude, this is what decides it. Your level 100 talent decides it. If you're going to use Demonic Servitude, which means you'll use a Doomguard, then you want Grimoire of Service. If you're going to use Cataclysm, because you're doing some AoE or Cleave, then you'll want Grimoire of Synergy in general to use a Wrathguard. Easy enough? Good. Right, level 90. Killjoy Endless Cunning. Wank now, don't need it. So, yeah, sad to see it go. Used to be a lovely passive, but no more. Manaros Fury. It's a wonderful spell, Blizz! It's so good! It is so good. It's so cool. It's a 1-minute cooldown. Increase the AoE effect by 500% and its damage by 100% on Immolation Aura in our case. It does mean that you can have some hilarious moments on things like Chromock, right? When those hands pop up, you can stand in the middle and go, just watch while I eradicate this entire area. Unfortunately, it's generally just nowhere near as good as Archimonde's Darkness, even in those kind of scenarios. Why? You get 2 charges of your big cooldown. Warlocks, especially, well, all Warlocks, in fact, don't have a set pattern of using their abilities. Because I can pop into demon form whenever the fuck I please, a warlock has to pay much more attention to when trinkets and things proc. Okay? And that means that it's better to be able to sit and not use... people seem to read Archimonde's Darkness as, oh, Dark Soul has 2 charges, I'll use it back to back. No! What you're giving yourself is the chance for Dark Soul to be regenerating. If I use 1, you can see the countdown starts. The countdown starts. That's all very well and good. But I have another charge of it. And I can use it anytime within that 2 minutes without it being a waste. Because it's not sitting there, not doing anything. It's waiting for this 2 minutes to be up before it becomes a waste. This means that, oh my god, something happened. So we think about Operator, this random train spawning. You can be under a cooldown for like all of those moments. And that's amazing. And that's why Archimonde's Darkness is fantastic. Because this class is dynamic and you can go full balls to the wall on demand. You can look out for things like trinkets, which make you more powerful. Then you can use a Dark Soul on top of it and go into Meta whenever you want. And that in nearly all scenarios works out to be the best choice. Okay, level 100, Demon Bolt got nerfed heavily, and that's okay. I'll mention it here just in case 6.2 brings Demon Bolt back. If you do take Demon Bolt, it's a spell that you can only use in Metamorphosis, and essentially it works like this. You will build up a full bar of Demonic Fury, you will jump into Meta and cast 4 Doom Bolts back to back, Demon Bolts back to back, and then you will come out of Metamorphosis and you will just rinse and repeat. It's about one of the easiest things to do. All your other spells, Shadow Bolts and Soul Fires and stuff, you'll use outside of Meta in order to simply gain Fury to get back and to do Demon Bolt again. Demon Bolt gives you a debuff. That debuff is timed pretty well to run out as you gain another full bar of Demonic Fury. And that's as simple as it is. The other two are you single targeting or are you doing some form of cleave and AoE? I mean some form. As soon as you have 2 targets, you want Cataclysm. Because Cataclysm rocks the fucking socks. Cataclysm is ace. Absolutely ace. It hits like a truck. It has a nice big fat cast time, which means you know the pain's coming when it lands. And yeah, it's all good. Demonic Servitude, in comparison, sounds cool because you can use Doomguard forever, but it's fucking boring. Honestly, it's super boring. And I would be amiss to not tell you to make sure that you go to your pets if you use Doomguard, and that Cripple. This is serious. Make sure Cripple is not auto-selected because you will lose a shit ton of damage. If you're using a Doomguard and it spawns and it starts casting Cripple, yeah, that's a lot of Demon Bolts that it's not, or Doom Bolts that it's not doing while it's channeling this. Okay? Cripple has reduced the target's movement speed for 80 seconds. It's a channeled 30-second spell. Okay? It's really bad. It's really, really quite sad to see it happen. If you can get him to do it now. Look at this. Look at this non-damage for 30 seconds that my Doomguard is doing. Oh, stop, please. Please, please stop, Doomguard. It's sad. It's sad. And yeah, it happens quite a lot. You'll forget. So please, if you're using a Doomguard, please check Cripple is not activated because that would be all kinds of bad. All kinds of bad. Go away. Never want to see you again. So that's a simple talent layout, okay? In terms of glyphs, there aren't many useful glyphs. I like Glyph of Demon Training, which gives, bonuses to things like health. Like you can see my Felguard's health's increased, and that obviously synergizes well with Sacrificial Pact. Glyph of Dark Soul is the one I really think you need to consider. Reduces the duration and cooldown of Dark Soul by 50%, so it gives it a 1-minute cooldown. This means that for things like Operator, the train boss, yeah, you can have it up every single time, pretty much, that adds spawn. And also for Beast Lord, you'll have plenty more. Now, that's not cheesing because Demo Warlocks are incredibly good at huge burst AoE. Incredibly good. And often, raids will ask you to do that. They will be like, okay, let the Warlocks deal with this. Or we'll split the Warlocks if you think about the train split on the train boss where the raid has to split in half. If you're doing above LFR, then you'll want a Warlock at least on each side to AoE everything down and make sure you get through that phase because they're so good at it. And Glyph of Dark Soul means that you have a Dark Soul for them short-term bursts. That's why the glyph is there. Short-term bursts, okay? So single target will be this synergy, and AoE will generally be this synergy. And that's generally how you rock and roll. So, how do we play it then? Pretty simple, really. The reason it changes is generally because of Hand of Gul'dan. Now, the general rule of thumb is we want to generate as much Demonic Fury as possible. Which means we obviously want Corruption up. Now, Corruption generates 5 Demonic Fury each time it deals damage. This means, and I'll skip ahead a little bit, that when we're AoEing, putting corruption on lots of targets is a really good idea. A really, really good idea, because that's all demonic fury, so you spend more time in demon farm doing crazy AoE damage, and while these corruptions are ticking outside, you're gaining demonic fury still to stay in demon farm and do more damage. So a lot of people ask, should I hellfire? No, not really. You don't want to be using hellfire to AoE. If you can't get into meta farm to AoE, you should be throwing corruptions up. Just saying. But for single target, you want corruption up pretty much 100% of the time. Now, it's worth mentioning here that, of course, some of you will know already, but if your Shadow Bolt, when you go into Demon Farm, turns into Touch of Chaos. If you watch corruption ticking here, if I use a Touch of Chaos, it actually adds duration to that corruption. Now, I'm going to let you know a little secret. It's okay if your corruption falls off for a couple of seconds. Don't feel that you desperately need to go into meta farm when it's not ideal for you to spam Touch of Chaos just to refresh corruption. Okay? That's a really bad idea. It's a really bad idea. If you're already in meta, yeah, and you're doing your mad deeps in meta farm, then sure, throw in a couple of touches of chaos just to extend corruption, because you don't want to come out of meta. Yeah? That's the decision you want to make. If you don't want to, or you have no reason to go into demon farm yet, let's say you've got really low demonic fury, don't feel you need to jump into meta to cast Touch of Chaos to avoid the one global cooldown to put a corruption up. It's fine. You can refresh it manually. Although Touch of Chaos does refresh it, those opportunities are simply, if you're already in meta doing Mad Burst, then sure, use Touch of Chaos to keep corruption out, because you don't want to come out to refresh it. Simple as that. So, corruption ticking. And then we do Hand of Gul'dan stacking. Hand of Gul'dan puts a dot of Shadow Flame on the target. Okay? Now, you can see this ticking down here. Now, the cool thing is, when we press it again, just before it runs out, it stacks twice. It will stack to a maximum of 2. If you've got the set bonus, which means you have 3 charges, it doesn't matter. It'll only be 2. And that 2 stack does more damage. So with Hand of Gul'dan, even though we have a charge here, we're not going to cast it. What you're going to be paying attention to while you're single targeting, or in fact about to cast Hand of Gul'dan, is about now. That means that when your Hand of Gul'dan, the second one, comes off cooldown, wait for it, there it is, that you can actually do the double stack. You want all your Hand of Gul'dans to be in double stacks. Okay? Very important that you do that. So don't worry that when Hand of Gul'dan comes off cooldown in 4 seconds and it's only 1 charge, don't cast it. You're waiting till it's nearly got its second charge. But you want to cast it before the second charge actually completes. Otherwise, they're both just sat there doing nothing. That kind of sucks. Don't want that to happen. So we'll be using Corruption, Hand of Gul'dan on the targets, and then we're going to fill with Shadow Bolt. Now you can see I'm generating Molten Core procs, okay? Molten Core procs, let's talk about those. Molten Core procs are really fast Soulfires. Here we go. Now, Soulfire is an interesting spell. Soulfire is the best generator of Demonic Fury that you actually have. Okay? Burn the enemy's soul. Fucking hell. Burns the enemy's soul. Drink it in. And generates 30 Demonic Fury. Okay? So that's pretty cool. So you might think to yourself, shit, as soon as Molten Core procs, I want to fire it off. Again, as soon as you get to about level 650 gear, no. You're going to be saving those Molten Core procs for while you're in meta. Okay? Outside of meta, it generally looks like keeping Hand of Gul'dan going. Okay? Which generally means either 2 Shadow Bolts or 1. And when these Molten Cores proc, you're just going to stock them up like this. You're just going to... They stack up to 10, so you can leave it sat here. And you're watching for like, oh, okay, I've got full Demonic Fury. Boom! Into meta. And that's where you'll use your Soulfires. Because they hit so fucking hard in meta. Look, you can see... So hard, so fast, you're basically drilling in. And that's how you'll burn your Demonic Fury more than anything. If your single targeting is on Soulfires. Now, back to single target again. When you start your fight, you'll want to put Corruption up. Okay? You want to get your Hand of Gul'dan going. You're going to fill in between... You want to get a long cast of Hand of Gul'dan. Okay? So a couple of Shadow Bolts, something like that. Second Hand of Gul'dan. And then Doom up. That gives you enough time. Now, some people want to put Doom up immediately. No. What you want to do is generate some Demonic Fury, so when you go into meta to put Doom on the target, you have something to be doing while you're in there. You'll no doubt be under the effects of Dark Soul, because you've just pulled, and you've got all this extra DPS. So while you're in there, you want to stay in there as long as possible. So, excuse me. What I'll do is, we'll come out of combat, and then I'll do what a general pull looks like. Now, if you're using Grimoire of Service, you'll use that just before you pop Demon Soul. So, here we go. Get out of combat. Nice. Come on, please. Oh, my wild imps. Can't stop them, can you? These imps, they love it. They friggin' love it. So, we'll do a pull now. Anyway, so a pull will look something like this. So you got your timer counting down. Let me get rid of these molten core procs. Your timer counting down. Happy dappy days. You get to about 4 seconds, you'll use a potion, and then you're going to start precasting Soulfire. Now, you might ask why. Simply because Soulfire generates the most demonic fury in your arsenal. Simple as that. So you'll start precasting a Soulfire so it lands when the tank pulls. Soulfire on its way. Okay. Then you lose a Grammar of Service, then a Dark Soul, Hand of Gul'dan number 1, Corruption on the target. Get off your Shadow Bolt if you can. Another Hand of Gul'dan, and then into Demon Form, put Demo up, and then you start doing things inside Demon Form, okay? Use your Soulfires as and when they proc, as many as you've got. Simple, simple, simple. If you don't have Soulfires, Touch of Chaos. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. And you'll generally stay in here until either your Demonic Fury runs out or Hand of Gul'dan's about to come back. So Hand of Gul'dan's about to come back, so I'll come out of it. Remember, save these Molten Core procs for our next meta moment. Pretty easy. And then Hand of Gul'dan back. And you just rinse and repeat that way. That is your basics of single target. Real super basic. Do it like that. Hand of Gul'dan does more damage than a Chaos Wave. It does more damage than a Chaos Wave. Okay? If you have the Seer bonus that gives you a 3rd charge, obviously you can't do another Hand of Gul'dan because it only stacks to 2, so you'll use a Chaos Wave while you're inside there. What about AoE, Preacher? This is where Cataclysm comes in. Cataclysm comes into this play now. If we're AoEing, we're not playing this spec. It's really as simple as that. If we're AoEing, we're not playing this spec. We are rocking Cataclysm and Grimoire Synergy, generally. Oh, and it's on cooldown, so I'll get my Wrathguard out. It doesn't particularly matter. Now, Cataclysm is interesting as well. If you use Cataclysm in caster form, it'll put Corruption on everything that it hits. Everything that it hits. If you're in Demon form, it'll put Doom on everything it hits. What you can't do, until you set it up perfectly because of Pandemic, is use Cataclysm to refresh Doom. You can only do that if you're sure on how Pandemic works, which is refreshing dots early so they last longer. And then you can kind of make it work perfectly near enough every single time. What you want to use Cataclysm for in 100% of situations is deciding what dot to put on the targets. Are they going to live longer than 15 seconds? Doom doesn't do anything until 15 seconds. I don't know whether you know that, but if I put Doom on, this is where my damage appears. Nothing. It does fuck all. Okay, look, you'll see there's no Doom damage here at all. But when it hits 45 seconds, wait for it, excitement beckons. Here we go, 46. Dumph. There you go, does some damage. So, if your targets aren't going to live 15 seconds, then Corruption is a better choice. Now, some people think that Cataclysm does more damage while you're in meta form. It does not. It does more damage if you use it with Dark Soul, but it does nothing extra when it's in meta form or whether it is without. You simply decide what dot you want. If these mobs are going to die quickly, Corruption is the better choice. Okay, Corruption is the better choice. Bear that in mind, it's better to get a Corruption on there. So again, hands on Chromog, you want Corruption on those targets. If it's something like Operator again, when all those ads spawn, they're going to die really fast. Corruption is a better choice because your Dooms, even though you might put up 56 fucking Dooms, doesn't matter. They won't do any damage. Total waste of time. Don't do it. So bear that in mind with Cataclysm. Obviously, use it on cooldown unless you have some specific moment coming up. When you're AoEing, you have some choices to do. You really do. Once you've got a lot of Corruptions up, you have to decide, are these targets going to live long enough for me to put Doom on? If they are, if they're even going to get 1 tick of Doom off, then you need to be putting Doom on everything, okay? You need to be doing this. This is how you set up your AoE. And you are setting up your AoE. You want dots going. Hands of Gul'dan going. You want to use your Wrathguard's Fellstorm, okay? Very important. You want to do all these things and set it all up so that you start generating lots of Demonic Fury. See my Demonic Fury bar going up? Then you're going to pop in and you're going to decide what to do. Immolation Aura sadly does very little damage and costs a lot. Shit, it costs a lot. Unless it's Hyper Mega Burst that you're doing, you won't use it. It costs so much. What you will be doing is things like Soul Firing with all the procs and Demonic Fury you're going to be getting. And then, of course, deciding whether to Chaos Wave or not. You obviously want to stay inside meta as long as possible. If the mobs will die, again, a lot of the demo comes down to this. Look how long the Shadow Flame dots last with Hand of Gul'dan. It's like 6 seconds. If those mobs are going to die, Chaos Wave is a better choice. Okay? Chaos Wave is a better choice for AoE because it hits really hard and it'll die. So it's all good. It's all good. So you want to be using Chaos Wave. Having said that, if you have Demonic Fury pouring in to the point where you can stay in meta form for absolutely ages, like I said earlier about trying to refresh Corruption, and you're in meta, Don't drop out. Use a Chaos Wave instead. The difference isn't worth you going out of Meta Farm, casting fucking Hands of Gul'dans for 6 seconds or whatever, trying to get a double stack up, while you're sitting on loads of Fury and these mobs are gradually dying. Just do a fucking Chaos Wave. If you have 3 charges of this with your set gear, 3 Chaos Waves is loads of damage, okay? And it looks cool as shit as well. It looks cool as shit. So AoEs dot everything. Don't worry too much about Hellfire and Immolation Aura. It's not a big deal. Don't forget your fucking Fellstorm. Now, a little note here on Fellstorm. I told you this is going to be a long one. Look how small the Fellstorm is. You need to be controlling your pet, okay? It's vitally important that you learn to control your pet properly. Vitally important. If all the AoE is going on here, and you get a Fellstorm here, it doesn't do enough damage. Make sure that when you're going to pop a Fellstorm, it's in the right place. I can't stress enough, don't use pet assist with a warlock. Don't do it. Why? Because you're dotting everything. You're dotting this, you're dotting this. You'll be dotting things over here and here and here, and your pet will just be going duh, 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 running around, not doing damage. Where do you want your pet? Control him. Look, it's not hard. It's really simple, guys. Bind something to attack and bind something to follow. And all you do is you send him on his way, and then you tell him to come back. Hey, hey, hey. You can just mess around with him all day if you want. Super easy. If you want a little tip from me, I use mouse wheel up for a go. So it's like I'm rolling him forward. That makes him attack. And mouse wheel back to make him come back to me. Super easy. Alright, guys. That's plenty of information to take in. So we're going to jump into some combat now and see it all in action. Alright, guys. Join me in the gameplay video. I'll see you again. Bye-bye.